up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shitty clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost God creates the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Shots are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale, get wrecked clean. This crypto dream.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Let's get the chat set up here. There we go. And just make sure you guys can hear me. All right, we're good. All right, cool. Who we got in the house? We got Coma, Ramos, Freebreaker, Offshore Miner. What's up? Daniel, Noah. Good morning, man. Steerling, had to go in Steerling. JB, Mikey, Enterer. All right, good morning, guys. All right. Well, our morning has kind of started off all right. We retested this previous value area high. We just broke down training momentum. We got to change a character above the VWAP. The only thing I don't like about this break to the upside is that it's going right into a order block, which we mitigated on the 30-minute and the 15-minute time frame. We are also testing this uptrending momentum potentially as resistance. Okay, there we go. And if we get the close above this previous body here, I feel a lot more confident that we can have a continuation back up to these local highs. At these local highs, I'll be preparing for potential short. We had an order block created here. It was mitigated. Then we created a new one on a lower time frame. I believe it was like 3 minute. Yeah, just a little guy. We'll still watch it, obviously, and see if we get a reaction off of it. It will sweep the local highs and then come back down. We have a supply zone right here that we failed to tap into last time. We had a little bit of a front run at like at 88.1k. Around 100, we're at 88.2k is where it begins, where the floor of that supply zone is, and it goes all up to 89k. So as we approach that area, I'll be looking for a bearish change of character for a potential short. It looks like we're establishing a range above this previous valley area right now. So let's see. If we do get up here and we have that bearish change of character, I'll be watching this as a primary support level. But if we get acceptance into that area, then we can have a continuation down to that valley area low at 83k. We flipped bullish on a couple time frames, but we're still we're bullish on the hourly. But a lot of our key levels for like the higher time frames above the hourly is like way up here, like 93k, before it's considered bullish on those time frames, unless we come down and take this low first before coming up. If we take the low first, then our key level will rotate from here to right about here for like the 4-hour time frame. Let's see what we have on the 6 hour will be the exact same. 8 hour. Well, we have a proper pullback here, which is great. We didn't hear here. Okay, so yeah, 8 hour will be the same. So yeah, we really want to either see this low taken so we can have our change character level lower on some of the higher time frames. If we sweep that low, then we have another opportunity to jump in at these lows as well, either off like maybe the SFP, off of that low. I have my wick level marked at 80.6. Otherwise, if we don't get the sweep, we're looking for the bullish change of character at these lows down here. So it's either we get the rejection here, which is what I'm preparing for, because we're kind of pretty local to that. We're really close to it. So we get the bearish change of character here, targeting here first, hope for the continuation of the acceptance to the valley area to the valley area low, and then from there we'll prepare for our exit plan based on structure. If we have the bullish change of character, we get out of that short, right? So that's kind of what I'm preparing for locally. If we end up seeing like an awkward regression trend, we make our way up to these highs, and then we have that bullish change of character on the higher time frames by breaking these highs before we end up getting the correction, then I'll be looking for a pullback entry for a longer term move to the upside. That's kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Looks like we had a decent opportunity here at this low around like 9:45 this morning. We had swept this low here while simultaneously bouncing off the previous valley area high, giving us a bit of a legacy SFP sweep. When this candle confirmed here, we got the target is pretty darn local. Like technical target was here, but then we got the change of character reaction shortly afterwards and broke the downtrending momentum, which kind of gave us a target extension to these highs. You just got to be like super cautious with this uptrending momentum. That's all. Keep an eye on it. Maybe use lower time frames, see what the 3 minute looks like. Yeah, 3 minute would be helpful. Yeah, 3 minute would be super helpful to find out if we get the continuation or not, because we have a proper pullback already after testing this uptrending momentum. So if we, let's say for example, we like sweep this high, get an SFP, that would warn you that we'd be coming back down to these lows, and if we get the change of character, that's telling you that this was respected as resistance, and we're likely going to just come right back down to where we started. So you're really close to finding out the answer of whether or not we're going to get that continuation from here to these highs or not, like based on the confluences of resistance here. So I'd mark this level either way, even if we don't sweep the high, because we can have a failure to create a higher high, start like a descending double top, and come down from there. But if we sweep the high, then we'll have more confluences and more trade participants likely reacting to that rejection. Well, what do we got in the chat? So we got Mr. Fred. How you doing, man? Non-stop TY. How you doing? Audio's okay. Thanks, Coma. Coma's longing Bitcoin to 1 million. Right on. We got some of the Otter gang in here. Okay. So that's Bitcoin. I can draw my pathing and what I'm preparing for. Yeah, most likely that bearish change of character reaction here. If we get the break here and respect this as resistance, then come back down to here. We gotta prepare for potential support. Otherwise, if we get acceptance into the value area, it'll look like this. So since I'm not already in an existing position, I'm just sitting waiting for either the price action to get into the supply zone where we can prepare for the bearish break of structure or change of character, retest these lows for a potential support bounce. If not, then it's here, which is next. I'd prefer to get in the long down here, of course, but yeah, it's not up to us. We'll see what the structure gives us. Okay. On-chain data is looking pretty good too for bullish news here. Let's take a look. Let's see if anything's changed since Friday. Probably not much, of course. It's refreshing. All right, so just to update you guys on the percentage supply and the profit. This is a huge guide into telling you when it's a good time to prepare for a macro top or a macro bottom. Macro bottoms come when we are below the 50% of the supply being in a profit. Macro tops come when we're about 90% plus. All the on-chain analytics didn't really meet for this being the top despite what we're seeing here. They were helpful for us for the range tops, but not the all-time high top. I still don't believe that we're at the all-time high. So here, yeah, right about like 63% of the supply is at a profit right now based on the price tag of 84.7K. And the last time we were here was when Bitcoin was at 26,000, so about 26K. So we're in in terms of that, like that's a really good indication that we could have a reversal coming up soon. Absolute worst case scenario, if we make it to the 50% level, which is when Bitcoin's capitulating, when a large amount of people are holding at a loss, miners are creating Bitcoin at a loss, they're forced to hold in order to sell it at a profit. That capitulation state, I see that price tag being around 72K, maybe 65K, and then 50% of holders will be then holding at a loss. That's a huge reflection of how much of the new supply was bought at these crazy highs. And then we have the Newport chart, which is going to be helpful as well. We got this telling us that we're not near the all-time high at all. We're at like the 33 level, which is the lowest we've been at since Bitcoin was at 29K, roughly around the same area where the supply was around 65% that we were looking at before. We've fallen way below the lows of what we saw when Bitcoin was at like 83K the last time, and when Bitcoin was at the last low around, let's see here, sorry. Yes, yeah, 79K, and then we had the low around like 55K. Yeah, we're below our conditioning is below the levels of what we had when we were at those extreme lows from those insane pullbacks that we had and consolidation pullbacks that we had back from here. Oh, not here, sorry. I went a little far back. Yeah, right here, our conditioning on chain is the same or better technically for longs than it was here and then here and over here. So now we're just, all we're technically lacking is the structure. And all the on-chain stuff suggests that we're going to have a strong reversal. Let's zoom back in, and then we can start looking at some altcoins for you guys. All right, it doesn't look like we're going to get that rejection. Let's take a look at the 3-minute. Obviously, it's still a possibility that we can come down, break this low, and get the change character, but we had that full body candle close above this level. So just sweeping it, yeah, it looks like we're going to start having that continuation up. So I'm just going to delete this pathing here. All right, cool. Solana, we could go get Solana, yep. Moving stop loss below break structure, first TP, 50K. Yeah, there you go. Stop loss break even, yeah, hold to 50K. The next time I expect the Nupal chart to show us in a state of exhaustion is around like 160K now, by the way. But the longer we consolidate down here, the higher that number becomes. It's pretty crazy. So we had a request from, yeah, someone here to look at Solana. So let's take a peek at Solana. Request to look at Zcash. Yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, the Black Friday deal is going on, guys. So grab that if you can. It's the best time to pay for your subscription with TradingView, trust me. Yeah, it ends in four days. All right, last time we looked at Solana, we've got this downtrending momentum. We drew a key level. We had like a double bottom target of 138.35. We so far made it to 134.66. We had this uptrending momentum, which we shortly afterwards lost. Yeah, it did the same kind of thing Bitcoin did. Maintain the pace of the buyers for a while. Then we were starting to use these previous highs as support. We delete this. It looks like it's on its journey towards that supply zone. Let's see. Delete some of this noise. Get our fixed range volume profile out. Click and drag until we lost the value area here. Use the value area high as support through here. We got acceptance into the structural value area from the value area low. It's a 252-day value area, and this is the point of control way up here. If we manage to get past this supply, the first time around, I don't think so. I think we're going to hit our head off of it. We got a previous value area low, confluence with this order block, liquidity above this high. So we might breach past it a little bit to grab that liquidity and then start to come down from there. However, if we break above it, get that break of structure continuation warning, then we can start targeting the value area high. Watching out for the supply zone here. The value area high has confluence of a 252-day previous point of control. So if we manage to get past the supply barrier, this is a strong little boss. Just expect a potential correction from that as well. But after getting acceptance into that value area, it'd be likely targeting around here, like where these previous highs are, where the active value area low would be. If we got acceptance in there, we would prepare for support around that area if we got this high up. So just letting you guys know that's how I'd plan ahead. If we do get that continuation, so it'll be pretty helpful to monitor this value area low here at 136.49 because it's going to be like a make it or break it moment. Well, I think we're most likely going to hit our head on it the first time around and not break through it right away. So yeah, 136.49 is going to be a key level to prepare for shorts initially. Sorry, that's my alarm. My alarm went off for Bitcoin. Okay. Okay, we mitigated that order block. We can mark our local highs as well, in case we get a swing failure pattern off of them. Okay, what do we got in the chat here? All right, cool. So we looked at Solana, we looked at Bitcoin. Free Breaker wants to look at CAS. Enter wants to look at Zcash. We can do that. Victor wants to take a peek at Chainlink and Hype. All right, cool. I'll hit those likes. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's take a peek, guys. So let's go through it in order. First request was Solana. We've done that. Next request is Zcash. Zcash has a mind of its own. So for those of you who like to use Bitcoin as like pairing confluence with Bitcoin, with Zcash, or with your altcoins in general, just be careful because like Zcash does like to do stuff on its own. Okay, it looks like it's behaving kind of the way that we expected since the last time we looked at it. We had the squeeze event right here at this value area high. We broke it to the upside. We hit the supply concern that we got marked here that we were worried about. As soon as we got that, this was the trade opportunity right here that I personally would have taken. There's a couple actually, but right here, when we got that change character, that internal change character, at the value area high just after hitting supply, that's a huge warning to prepare for a short and target the value area low while being mindful of any barriers along the way. I've been mindful of this barrier here. Grab liquidity, bounce off the point of control. That could be a concern that you'd worry about. That can make it go against you. But we instead consolidated, had another impulse move down, building a supply barrier that induced this range of resistance until we eventually broke through it, but violently, like pretty violently. So like I personally have a hard time trusting moves like this. They're illiquid, inefficient price actions. We normally retrace it like we did here and tested these previous highs. So we could be on a journey of a continuation up, but let's take a peek at the lower time frame structure and see how it's doing. So we got this hourly order block here in our face that could induce a reversal. We haven't gotten there yet. We can mark uptrending momentum right here so we can see the pace of the buyers. Bring it right to your value area high so you can see how long it could likely take for it to reach the value area high. So from where we currently are, if we maintain the pace that we're currently going, it could take up to 2 days and 21 hours for us to reach the value area high. That could obviously change. The pace could speed up. Let's go into the 15-minute time frame. So right now, I'd be more mentally prepared for a break to the downside based on what we're seeing right now as we speak. So we have just mitigated a 30-minute order block. We just had a bearish SFP sweeping this high. That tells us that this is basically, well, I guess on this time frame, this is the target right here because we didn't have a proper pullback until that moment. Let's see the 5-minute posture. So internal SFP on the 5-minute. We'd watch the 5-minute targeting first, which is this low. We're bouncing off of the internal like 786 right now from the pull from this low to this high. So if we break this we would have the confluence of getting the bearish change of character thanks to this SFP and closing below the VWAP. And at that point, I'd be watching this little demand zone right here as potential support. And I don't think it could go very far down, but yeah, if we break this level, then I would expect for us to come down here and prepare for a potential bounce again. Otherwise, if we don't break this low and we keep maintaining this pace on the way up, if we get a close above this SFP wick, then I'll be looking for shorts like very shortly afterwards around this high or at these local highs up here. Just for a short-term scalp. But overall, it looks like it's on its journey upwards. So we have a scalp opportunity here for a short. Maybe a scalp opportunity up here for a short. But yeah, I'd be mindful of the moment that we get above this high at 607. We have a full body candle close above there that we're likely just going to go right to that value high right after that. But I like seeing Zcash finally starting to range a bit. We're starting to range inside this valley area ever since we lost the uptrending momentum. We've been in here for about 19 days now. We can adapt this pole to the current price action. It's not going to change much, but it'll give us more of our valley area data. And that's pretty much it. So internal, scalp for shorts. Macro, prepare for shorts here. Prepare for longs down here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see. Okay, could you look at AVAX and CRO? Yeah, we can add that to the list. We have. Okay, so we got through Zcash. CAS is next. KAS. KAS, what do we have? Oh, we're finally breaking momentum. Okay. So we broke this downtrend momentum here. I'll just make it a little bit bigger so you can see. This was our last demand zone that we looked at. So we had some levels marked here before the past, but they're not helpful anymore. This is helpful for the SFP sweep bounce. This was helpful to prepare for something like that as well, but didn't happen here. We had this level marked for potential support. It held up a little bit, but we can delete this. We just bounced off of a previous valley area low. Let me zoom out to see where that came from. Okay, so we have the valley area data here. Valley area low to high based on historical price action. Let's zoom out a bit. So CASPA right now is on a pretty darn important area. It's a really strong demand zone. And actually kind of the last one before we'd fall down to 2 cents. Right, 0.027. It's the next area of interest right here. So we don't want to lose this demand zone. This is a good zone to prepare for longs, but you lose a demand zone, a key area of interest can end up becoming an area of resistance. So I'm hoping that Zcash doesn't come down this low, but the good news is, we're breaking the downtrending momentum. It looked like we had like an Adam and Eve structure in the lower time frames there. I can double check. Yeah. Like ascending Adam and Eve kind of posture. So an Adam and Eve is when you see a spike down in the price action, V-shaped recovery, then a rounded bottom like this. And it kind of tells you a story that there's a large amount, this is kind of like an automatic rally. There's a large amount of limit buy orders here that helped induce a bounce. And that initial bounce that the limit orders created or the buy wall that they created, it got retail jumping in too. So a bunch of orders were basically filled, giving us a V-shaped recovery. And then the buyer's confidence is slowly coming back. So that's kind of the story that Adam and Eve tells us. Now this is an inverse Adam and Eve. A regular one is like this, kind of like a double top warning. But we have like an ascending one that just occurred here. You can look for SFP sweep entries off these rounded bottoms because they're really common. Like the best one was probably here when we swept this low with this doji, giving us a target at this local high at least, but then eventually you could see if you can hold off for a hold there. If not, the next opportunity would be the break of structure continuation pattern, like posture there. After retesting those highs, we have momentum that we can monitor right here. This is the pace of the buyers. Not picture perfect, but our bearish key level right now, we got one right here. It could bring us down to this low, but this one here would bring us right back down to pretty much where we started. We had this. So I personally would be targeting this previous point of control, or this downtrending momentum. See if there's a sell wall chasing this trend line. Right here. This is the more broad momentum that's keeping cast down since it was at 0.065. We got a pretty decent liquidity curve here. We can kind of tell by the order flow that there's a decent amount of liquidity above us. Then help drive the price up, at least to this high. And I'll just pull this. There we go. So I think the overall journey for CAS is going to tell us that we're likely going to get around 0.048. From where we are right now, it's about 14%. So it could take some time. If we'd maintain this pace, we can get there in 3 days. But yeah, just take each one of these like highs seriously along the way, just in case we scoop liquidity and we see it used as exit liquidity and get like a bearish change of character. It'll pose against you. It could be a good warning sign to take some off the table. But it all depends on where your entry is on this thing. If you're in down here, then you got lots of breathing room for reactions. Bitcoin's still along, slowly chugging along the way up. Let's go back to the chat. Reverse stiletto. Yeah, yeah. So what do you mean by the stiletto? Yeah, some people see these guys on the charts. So like this is basically what an Adam and Eve is. So whenever you hear someone say stiletto, that's what they're just talking about Adam and Eves. They're also, honestly they're really good to trade because like their behavior on how price action comes down usually has very good order flow and it's slow moving, and we stack a bunch of liquidity along the way up. So when you have that bullish change of character internally within it, you can at least target this high in hopes that it breaks and gives you the continuation, kind of like what we saw with CAS there in low time frames. But yeah, let's get this off the screen here. Delete. There we go. Where'd you go? Right on. Okay. Brother, you gotta stop that 6-7 business. Yeah. Okay, so went through CAS. All right, Link. Link is next. Link, how you doing, man? Link one's a good one to load up, guys. Okay, so we have, not as picture perfect, but we got like that same kind of behavior that we saw in CAS. So we built supply here, inducing resistance, and creating this local range, and then we eventually broke through that. We had, this awkward downtrending momentum, double bottom break, another double bottom fractalization, and then we came up, broke this high, used it as support. So we're kind of like running our way up slowly towards this previous valley area structure here at 1306. We had a previous range in the past there. We're coming in supply right now. We're hitting our head off. Yeah, we're hitting our head off of it. So as Bitcoin starts to approach, like Chainlink has a lot of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin, so you got to keep an eye out on what Bitcoin's doing. So as Bitcoin gets to its local resistance, its supply zone, and you see a bearish reaction from it, and then shortly afterwards you see something like that with Chainlink, think of that as extremely good confluence. Like when you see Bitcoin like completing bearish structure in supply and you're coming up to preparing for a short on Chainlink, it's honestly like one of the best forms of confluence you can get in the space when Bitcoin's kind of agreeing with the same bias that you're seeing on an altcoin. But yeah, we're just coming up to that supply right now as we speak. So I'd personally be preparing for potential shorts as well, like short-term ones off these highs. Prepare for come right back down to these local lows. Let's zoom out on this thing a little bit more macro. Get like this descending channel. Delete this. Lots of noise in my chair, I know. Yeah, clear some of it out. Some of it's not relevant anymore. Okay, I'm gonna mark this 4-hour order block at $14.07. We have a previous value area low here, and we have 4-hour bearish order block. Don't get that break of structure, close above this high in the large time frames. Get that continuation, acceptance in this previous value area. Help us with a rotation up. Here would be a great spot to prepare for shorts, depending on how quickly we get there. If we get there quickly, like that's a big ask. But if we get there and we have this downtrend momentum confluence with this previous value area low in the 4-hour order block, then that's a great spot to prepare for at least a short-term short. If we get there slowly, it could be what causes a pullback to retest and get the higher high after breaking this downtrend momentum. But yeah, locally right now we're in a spot where we prepare for shorts. Let's see. What's next, chat? We got. How did you see that Solana on the monthly time frame? Head and shoulders. Oh, let's take a peek, man. Monthly head and shoulders. That's not something that's very common on a altcoin. And you get to see the true noise on my chart when I switch to the daily. But the monthly here. Oh yeah, I see it. And when it comes to formations, you got to think of them like, what is the liquidity behavior that they're inducing? And like every structure is relatively unique. They all tell you a unique story. But yeah, the head and shoulders tells you a story that there's definitely, we're failing to create higher highs. There's a lot of sellers in the space, but it doesn't mean it's game over yet. Like, just because the picture is being painted doesn't mean it's going to complete that way, right? So yeah, if we lose this, if we get a full body candle close below this wick level low at 94K, like $94, I'd be pretty scared for any Solana holders at that time. Like, they can just bring us right back down to like previous key levels that are much, much lower. But yeah, right now we're at a key area where we prepare for support, and not in a macro sense. Like, we're looking like we should be preparing for reversals very soon on Solana. But yeah, you're right. You should look at this like, if this were to confirm, then yeah, price action could be pretty aggressive. I doubt it would hit the technical target. Like, these things have gross technical targets that just aren't very logical. Like, it suggests that if it were to be confirmed, we'll come back down to like $40. I'm not too worried about it. And right now we're at a structural value area low. We should be preparing for macro strong reversals. All right, Solana coming up. We could get that. It looks like it's already sweeping. Hasn't confirmed yet. Internal hourly SFP would give us a target of this low right here, 128. But we have barriers along the way. We have the VWAP in confluence with the 30-minute order block. So if we confirm that SFP, I personally would be targeting here and not all the way down here, just to keep myself more grounded, work alongside the barriers, and use them as a tool to know when to get out. A slight front run from that, so I think it's going to go a little bit higher again. That'd be rude. If twice in a row we got front run to a little high. We have chat doing now, so we got. It's a pleasure to greet you. Please, can you put an option of translation onto Spanish in text and audio? Is that a possibility? I'm sure you can do that with YouTube's like already posted videos, but I'll see what you mean. I'll see if I can find something like that. Which entry, a bearish entry on Solana, which time frame would I use? One thing that's really helpful for helping you determine a time frame of entry is to look at your local structure, or here, the pathing along the way up, right? And where was your most recent pullback within each time frame? So the 15-minute, we have a pullback here. So if I were to look for a bearish change of character, I know I won't be able to use the 15-minute time frame unless we have 2 consecutive candle pullback. Right? So I personally prefer to use higher time frames, but sometimes the market, the volume, or the current situation just forces you to use lower time frames. The 5-minute, we could have a proper pullback in about 50 seconds. So I could use the 5-minute time frame because we have a 2 consecutive candle pullback right now. It's not confirmed yet. We still have 50 seconds on the candle, but if it closes like this, then I'm probably going to be using, like, I won't be using the 15-minute, but I'll definitely be using the 5-minute, right? Because we come up here and we sweep this unclaimed high, maybe get a local SFP after getting that more, that legacy kind of sweep. And then I can look for the bearish change of character here, so long as this closes red. Right? If it doesn't close red, then it's going to force us to go to lower time frames. And a lot of people like to use the 3-minute. And at that point, that's where I stop. I don't like going any lower than the 3-minute for an entry, because the lower the time frame, the easier it is to manipulate the price action, and the less likely you're going to hit your technical targets. So if we get the 3-minute SFP, then we just got to treat it, the price action, as if like to the rules of that time frame, right? So if we get an SFP sweep, then we're going to be watching the 3-minute low to be taken first and get that change of character, and then we're going to be watching like any 3-minute barriers along the way, like 3-minute order block or anything like that, where we're going to have to babysit it. But yeah, higher the time frame, stronger the power, and the more likely it's going to give you stronger continuations down, because the higher the time frames, normally the larger amount of trade participants you have, and the more likely it's going to hit its technical target. So usually, yeah, I'll go as low as the 3-minute, and then, but I prefer to go higher, like the 15-minute. I hope that helps you out. But yeah, it's all kind of situational. The more you trade, the more you'll kind of adapt to what I just said. But of course, you can always ask me more questions down the road. Any way to help you make it click. Yeah, you like the 5 and 30 second. So the 5 and 30 second are fun, but I'm not going to make a trade decision based on what I saw in like the 30 second. You know what I mean? Kyle, odd request, but could you actually review a trading view indicator? It's a holographic market microstructure. That sounds interesting. Yeah, we could do that. I'm down with looking at indicators with you guys. What is a VWAP? VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. What it does is it's basically taking the average daily weighted volume and price action closes, and it builds an average based off of it. It resets every single day. You can see the actual reset occur when it's like right here, for example. We just did a reset. We had a reset here, but you can also just rotate to the daily time frame and find out when the daily candle closes, and you can find out when it would reset then there too. The VWAP is weak at the first 4 to 6 hours, but then it gets stronger and stronger as the average gets built up. You can use the VWAP as a tool to know when to prepare for shorts. For example, SFPs off the VWAP, like this one that just occurred, they're very great for shorts when you hit off a VWAP during that moment. When you also can think of it as a magnet, so when we deviate away from it, you can long or short into it as a target, because price actions kind of magnetize towards it. There's deviation rules as well. When you adjust your inputs, you can change it so there's a multiplier. So when we get to, like, some people prepare for like the bands 2 multiplier, they're looking for shorts as soon as we tap that, or looking for longs when we tap it from the lower side, and they're targeting the VWAP as a form of targeting system in hopes that we break past it and get to the other side of the multiplier. There's tons of ways you can use VWAP. There's anchored VWAPs too, where you can, rather having it reset by the day, you can have it connected to the trend, or connected to the week, or connected to the month. You can find the anchored one just over here on the left under projection, where you find your long and short position tool. Just below it, you see anchored VWAP. So if I want to see the anchored volume weighted average price from this downtrend, from this high to where we currently are, I'll just click on here, and it'll give you this moving average, like based on just this trend alone. But I prefer, if you're going to use it, to use like larger trends, like from the all-time high, from the lows, from the range high, from the range lows, stuff like that. There's a lot more to it than what I just described, but I hope that helps you out. It's a good start. Is it worth it to purchase 11x indicators? It depends. Like if you're, so I think it's a good idea to first learn market structure before getting it. There's only very, very small amount of times where I've seen it be wrong, and they're constantly improving it. But yeah, I think when it comes to any market structure indicator or any order block indicator or anything like that, that you first know how to identify it yourself, so you know if an indicator is wrong or right. But if I were to say, out of all the market structure indicators and the order block indicators out there, it's definitely worth its price because it's just saving you a ton of time. And sometimes you'll see things that you don't, right? So I personally think it's worth it, especially if you already are a proven profitable trader. You can just treat it as a write-off expense. If you're not profitable, then I think it's too early. Okay, let's see here. We had a request to look at hype, so we'll take a look at hype, and then we'll look at that indicator that Jim suggested there. Because I'm curious to see how hype is doing. We got 64 viewers. What's up, guys? Welcome to the party. Okay, so this is where we're preparing for longs. Last time we looked at hype, we had a previous valley area low here. We had a deviation of an active valley area low. We got a good break of downtrending momentum here. We flipped bullish here. I know my candles are a little weird on hype, but yeah, we flipped bullish here during this moment. We get that bullish change of character off of the previous valley area low. And at that moment, you could have your stop loss at the strong low and run it up towards the valley area high, which we got to our supply concern here. We tapped the valley area. Well, we didn't tap the valley high. We're very close to tapping the valley high, but we had the 200-day EMA kind of catch up to the price action. So at that point, it was a good time to prepare for shorts. A lot of awkward internal price action, though. This wick made things weird. But if this wick wasn't here, you'd be jumping in a short as soon as this low broke. Otherwise, you might have not have trusted it, which is understandable. If you're late to the party, yeah, then you could have jumped on that break there. And now we are back down here. So we're at 31.20. We have a supply zone here that was created. We built this little guy, right? And induced a pullback here. We never end up retesting it. This whole thing then became a supply barrier. We had a little one here that induced pullbacks. Let's see. So we understand how the range kind of got born here. Delete this. Let's get our fixed range volume profile from here to here. Let's mark our Noah, if you want me to do oh sorry, Paul, if you want me to do a video on the 11x indicators, I can, so I can showcase them, show you what you get, so you can make a decision whether or not you want to make the purchase. The website does show you some information, but I understand like having a more detailed breakdown might be more helpful because it's a big expense, right? When you're trying to get into it, it's technically a new job, right? You're trying to find something that makes you an income. You want to find out whether or not like what you're investing in is worth it. Because I made a lot of mistakes on indicators in the past. Like nothing against them, but the 11x indicators, I invested in their annual plan, and I'm like, that wasn't really worth it. A lot of repainting in their tools. I bought some courses too that were a waste of money. So I know the feeling. So I can definitely make a video on it. Value area high. We got our value area low here. It's not previous. Actually, I wrote previous, but it's all right. Okay, so if we maintain this pace along the way down, right now we're currently hitting our head off the previous point of control. The point of control is actually relatively strong. We got a decent volume node here. We got a volume shelf here that's kind of holding us up a lot. We come down, we could still be held off that volume shelf, get an SFP bounce and sweep and retarget this area, and hopefully that we break it to get to the value area high. But that VWAP is keeping us down right now. So we're down here. I'll be preparing for longs again at this value area low or off this volume shelf right here. Or we might get an internal SFP and sweep that and target here. Otherwise, if we don't get the SFP, then we're just looking for the bullish change of character and break of momentum to then target this value area high. We have an order block here. So this is an example, like sometimes the indicator doesn't see everything. There we go. And the 5 minute, zooming in on this thing. Doji 3. Well, this, we just had an internal SFP from this high. Already hit that target. Then we just had another SFP. Now it's targeting this high again. So it's been ping-ponging back and forth from sweeps. But I think this time around we might not hit the technical target, which is this wick high. I think we're just going to hit this downtrend momentum, 3 minute order block, POC confluence, and they just come right back down. And we just got to watch this level right here. If broken with the full body candle close, would probably bring us back down to at least retest these wicks. Bitcoin still coming down. Get the bearish change of character if we break below here. And likely just retest the VWAP from that. We have a low time frame demand zone here alongside the VWAP. So I think we're just going to get that bounce. Maybe get a lower high. We can start pulling a fib from this high to this low during that moment. Okay, let's take it. Do I use market cipher? No, but it's a good indicator. The anchored. Yeah, I like how the anchored momentum on the market cipher works extremely well with like golden pocket order block retests. You see those anchored VWAPs or those anchored moves. I don't usually use it. We have some coaches in the community that use it. Like Brian uses it, Lucas uses it for confluence. Extremely good alongside market structure. I don't know the tool enough though to like teach it. Do I wait for the close or the break? I wait for the close. Price acceptance. I wait for price acceptance. The close is really important. Is that the close is like the difference between a potential break of structure or a swing failure pattern, right? And two, like, even though they might be dancing around the exact same key level, they mean two very, very different things. Like, for example, what we have going on right now as we speak, it is deciding between an SFP or a change of character, right? Change of character will occur if we get the close blow here, right? And that means we're likely to continue to go down. It might be inducement to pull back a little bit, but overall this becomes a strong high and we're likely going to continue to go down. And that's when you start looking for demand, right? For helping you with your targeting and preparing for reversals that could make it start to go against you with an opposing change of character. If we close above this wick instead and we get the SFP, then that tells us we're going up and we should be targeting the most recent pullback. And so yeah, it's very, very important. That's why, yes, I would always recommend waiting for a candle close for most strategies. Anyone who's jumping in during an active candle, you must have some crazy confluence-based rules or emotions. Like the emotion part of jumping in on an active candle, it would really suck if you jumped in on a short right now because you think it's going to flip bearish on the change of character, and then all of a sudden it closes an SFP and then comes up here and stops you out. So I think it's important to wait for the candle close. And yes, that does mean sometimes you have crappy risk to reward ratio by the time it actually closes, right? Because you'll be managing your risk, something like this, right? Short position tool, right? Everyone always has their entry near the confirmation line. You could target, let's say, like a 1 to 2, and then you have to be aware of the barriers along the way down to that 1 to 2. Like, you find out, okay, is this risk reward ratio, yes, if given to me, is it going to be possible to hit that technical target? What are the things preventing me from hitting that target? Right? We have demand here, VWAP here, we have momentum, and we have liquidity from this low, and we have a 3-minute order block, right? I prefer to, if I'm giving signals, I prefer to give an entry with the least amount of these as possible, right? And still provide you that risk to reward ratio that you want to have. And if your trade confirms bearish and you find out, okay, the risk to reward ratio is not there to the technical target with a low amount of barriers or only one barrier, then you're going to have to wait for a pullback between the confirmation, which was this candle close, and the invalidation point, which is this high, the strong high. So you can try to get in between like here and here around this area and get the proper risk to reward ratio. Still, honor this stop loss as your guard and just enter around here and see if there's any like Fibonacci based confluences when it starts going against you. If we're dissecting like the 3-minute, we're gonna have to like look for an opposing change of character on something like the 30-second or the 1 minute. And then during that moment, you established a low. Unfortunately, we won't establish a low on the 1 minute until we break this high. So we wouldn't even be able to pull a fib and trust it until we broke that high. But yeah, I hope that rant helps a little bit, but we don't want to stay in that 1 minute. But yeah, we did flip bearish on the 3-minute. We front run like a supply zone. So I don't fully trust it. But this is if we were to short this, you'd be targeting at least the VWAP in hopes that it breaks down lower to give you a decent amount of hopium for something like that. So it's better to have use VWAP on your side for the entry, or like for example, like a double bottom change of character break in confluence with the VWAP breaking, that's a good entry. But when you're taking a trade so close to VWAP, you got to be super mindful that you might be forced out early and you might just barely break even. We have not being able to just use a card for 11x is the worst part. Is crypto payment? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it could be frustrating. You could use yeah, you get the onboard on the Coinbase first, and then yeah. All right, Paul. Yeah, I can make a video. Any opinion on chart prime indicators? I haven't really looked into it. I know Alex Crypto uses it, and I trust him. So I have nothing against them because I don't know enough about them. It does seem like from what I've seen, that they're like overlay indicators of already existing indicators that just make things look prettier. But I don't know if they have anything unique to them, like that they created. I'm not sure about any of that stuff. Kyle, I heard you recorded courses about Bollinger Band strategy, Trade Hunter strategy a few years ago. Are they still profitable? Yeah. Bollinger Band strategy is still profitable. Trend Hunter strategy. The thing with the Trend Hunter strategy, if you took every single one of its trades, I wouldn't say it's profitable. But if you use it as a confluence layer over top of like valley areas, or basically, for example, if you have trend-based rules yourself, right? Let's say it is like a really good trend-based rule that I like to use when we leave a valley area and we see it like act as support and get that break structure continuation. Like that's a really good trend-based rule because it tells us that we're likely going to be leaving that valley area and moving to a next one. So if you have the confluence of like the trend hunter rules being met during that moment, then maybe, or it's more likely that we're going to have a stronger push than a simple move from one valley area to the next. So I'd recommend, using it as a confluence layer, because by itself, if you don't know enough about trading to know that we're ranging during the moment a signal has occurred from it, then it's going to cost you a loss, right? You're going to lose that trade. So you want to be knowing that we're going to be Xing a range the moment that the rules are met, and then your win rate on that will be much more higher. So when we're in a trending environment, like that strategy is amazing, but we're in a ranging environment, it's not that great. Are you still doing the 1,000 count challenge? We kind of are, but we're kind of on pause right now because I'm working on like making it more easy for people to follow, and I'm going to be doing it with $10,000 because I can't live off of $1,000 count, if I'm being honest. So I need to do it with 10,000. And then on the chart that I'm building, you're going to be able to like enter in if I were trading. You can basically, it's like a hypothetical chart where you can like, if I were trading with $1,000, how much would I be at if I were to be following Kyle throughout this whole strategy, this whole competition. 3Y SSMAM. Yeah, there are so many free indicators. Exactly. There's a free version of almost every indicator out there. It doesn't mean it's great, but yeah, you yourself could become the indicator. For a lot of the stuff that's out there, you could just map it out on your own. The main thing that you probably couldn't do on your own is what an oscillator could do, like Market Cipher or an RSI or something like that. You can't really do that kind of stuff in your head. And if you can, I want to meet you. Okay, so that, see, we have, okay, someone asked me to look at which indicator was it. The holographic market MicroStrategy. Okay, holographic, what the heck is that? Graphic, there it is. Editor's pick. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. So it looks like it's marking the highs and lows. I like how they display it, because it's almost like it's displaying like it has a range from the highs to lows. It's pretty cool. Flow, selling, ranging structure, smart money, idle, liquidity normal, divergence clear. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know enough about this to be able to give you advice off of it, but based from what I can see, it looks like it's gauging volume and marking market structure lows and highs. I could see this as a good filter indicator. For example, it's able to identify that if we're ranging or not. We'll see how accurate something like that is. I've been struggling trying to find an indicator that could identify if we're ranging or trending. For example, the trend hunter strategy. So if we get an indicator that's able to identify if we're ranging or trending accurately, then you can have it so that like you would only listen to the long or short positions that it's suggesting in the trend hunter strategy if the filter indicator says that we are trending. But if it says we are ranging, you wouldn't listen to that signal, right? So that's an example of how you could like back test a layer over top of an existing strategy to improve it, right? So maybe this is a cool indicator to find out whether or not we can improve the trend hunter strategy if this thing does successfully identify if things are ranging or trending or not. I don't know enough about this to give advice off of it, but it looks pretty cool, man. That's market structure. I'm trying to find. I keep pulling up 11x. Let's double click this. There we go. Heat map. Cool. Show order flow. Let's turn that on. It's late on order flow. That's cool. Yeah, I'll take a peek at this later in more detail. Let's just hide it for now. How much will you risk percentage per trade with the challenge? 1%. Yeah, 1%. What indicator do you use to identify change of character, break of structure? 11x's indicator here. It's a paid indicator, but you get access to a risk reward ratio tool. You get access to Argus, which shows you the wick levels on multiple exchanges to help you with SFPs and identify if liquidity has been taken. Then they have the market structure. Then you have the MTF OBIM, which is like showing you the order blocks. Shihai, which shows you opposing confluences on USD dominance and Bitcoin dominance, or whatever dominance you decide to connect it to. And Shihai is great for confluence. But yeah, market structure by 11x is what I use. But you get all those extra tools that I just mentioned alongside it. I do have a description down, link in the description down below so you guys can get like 10% off on that. I don't think they have a Black Friday sale going on because I know the creator right now of the indicators, he's in Japan, just chilling in Japan for about a week or so. So he might be too busy to be hosting a discount like that. Ken saying he longed onto 47-cent entry. Nice, man. I know it's way above that now. Okay, maybe it's not 48 cent. Let's take a peek at Ondo, actually. Still hasn't came down to its October 10th low, which is super low at 24.82. Oh, we taken that low out. It's bizarre. We have a macro demand zone here that I'm hoping that we never return to. We're in one right now. This big demand zone here that's helped hold us up throughout this journey here, but it's basically almost all fully mitigated. It technically is after we had that crazy wick sweep right here. Let's see how we're doing down here. We got internal momentum here, broad momentum here. Let's go to the hourly. Got that stiletto Adam and Eve, inverse Adam and Eve structure that we just broke out of down there. We're coming up right now as we speak towards supply. We got a little guy right here and a bigger guy here. So it's kind of telling us a story that we should be preparing for shorts too. Short. Structure, can't use 15 unless we pull back first. 5 minute, it's way down here. We'll see how we go, how it goes here, but depending on how we behave here is really, really important. And we're in supply, right? We had a bit of a front run to it here, if not right to the wick. So if we pull back and get a higher high, they get a change of character here. And the acceptance below these previous high in confluence with that, we could have ourselves a good short. Moving down to this demand here. Right now the VWAP's there, but it'll probably catch up by the time this actually confirms. So yeah, hold your longs, but yeah, prepare for a potential opposing structure in the supply zone that we're in right now. Let's see how close we are to the technical target for this Adam and Eve though. We got our support. Little ways to go. $51.79. It's like a 5 minute order block here. It's really small. We broke that high in the 1 minute. There could be a liquid opportunity here. Yeah, I'd only trade out like a super high time frame liquid anyways. All right, what do we have in the chat? Oh, Brian's call's over. Kyle, if I want to compound an account aggressively with 75 to 85% win rate, then what is the maximum acceptable risk percent per trade? Is it okay to risk 5% or even 10% with this win rate? No, it's not. Never. No. So even with an 80% win rate, after 100 trades, it's statistically very likely for you to have a 9 consecutive loss streak. So if you're risking to lose 10%, you could lose all but 10% of your entire account doing that kind of risk management. So you got to prepare as if you're always about to have a loss streak, right? And you should manage your risk like that too. I think with an 75%, 85% win rate, even if your net R&R is like a 1-to-1, that's still pretty good. Like that's still really good. I would say 2%, man. 2%, maybe 3 is like the maximum I would suggest. But like with 3% trades, I'm usually taking like swing trades, like really big long-term trades with 3% risk. And then 1% is usually my scalp trading kind of risk. Congrats if that is your win rate. That's awesome. Yeah, my win rate's about 80% as well. But yeah, you gotta be careful, man. With 5%, 10%, that's scary stuff. And exactly what Pluff said is very true too. If you have that kind of win rate, and depending on what kind of strategy you're trading, like if you're trading like a scalp trading strategy and you're getting like an opportunity like every day, like 1%, risking lose 1% to gain 2 or more is honestly awesome. You'll grow extremely fast so long as your risk tolerance can grow alongside your account. And like, what do I mean by that? But it basically is like if you are, trading $1,000 account, your risk tolerance on a $10 budget, because you're risking to lose like 1%, $10 budget is pretty tolerable. A lot of people can lose that and not feel anything, right? But when you grow your account to, let's say, like a $100,000 account, and you're risking to lose 1,000 to gain 2,000 or more, then the emotions might be a lot more extreme, and it could take you some time to adapt to something like that. You don't want your emotions to cause you to get out of your trades too soon, or to put you into trades that you don't belong in, right? You want to be making sure that you're following your rules like to a T perfectly every single time, or else that win rate means nothing, right? I know when I got my account to like 300K and I wanted to start risking to lose more, I was risking to lose like $300 on average, and I was trying to scale it up to 1,000. It took me like 3 months to get used to the point. Basically, it took me 3 months for my heart to stop racing when I jumped into those kind of trades. So, yeah, sometimes it takes time to train your emotions alongside your strategy too. But yeah, you're welcome to ask me any questions about that kind of stuff whenever you guys like. Let's take a peek at another request for AVAX. I gotta head out soon, guys. I'm gonna do some TA inside the Discord with the community on alts and get some charts updated. AVAX just bleeding, man. Never ending bleed. So we evolved our momentum to be steeper down below here. Let's zoom out. Where does it get to? It comes all the way down to 849. Okay. There's crazy strong demand zone here. The fact that we lost this low and lost this previous high support level here, it makes me worried that AVAX might be on its way down to $11 to $10 again, which is a strong, very important historical key level. So we're kind of on our way there now. And we're breaking momentum. I'll be watching these previous lows, potentially as resistance. $15 even, so it's a psychological level too. We're mitigating this supply right now as we speak. So kind of like everything else, we're kind of coming into supply right now. We prepare for the posing warnings, a bearish change of character. But right now you should be, if you're in an active position, it should be a long. But we're not looking for new longs right now. We could get a pullback after mitigating this and find like a new entry down here, but we're actually looking for shorts. Can mark this wick high so you're aware of when liquidity is likely going to start. Exit liquidity. So 13.99. Preparing for that's the ceiling of the supply. Be looking for opposing change of character here. Right now our key level is way down here. At least on the 15-minute. It's like 13.99. Prepare for a short. Bitcoin flip bullish again on the 1 minute. Let's go back to the 3. All right, flip bullish again on the 3 minute. I'm getting close to our key level for shorts. And so is a lot of the other assets too, right? So Bitcoin's getting, like the stars are starting to align with all these assets being closer to the top of their supply zone and Bitcoin getting close to the floor of this one. When Bitcoin confirms that opposing change of character, then all the other assets should follow very shortly afterwards for good confluence. And then you find your barriers along the way down and see where your altcoins are at relative to that. Are they at any local barriers themselves, like a VWAP or an order block? Solana is at that zone now. Previous value area low. We had order blocks here that all are fully mitigated now. So here's an important moment. So if we get acceptance into this value area with a break of structure, then we start targeting the value area high. We'll be mindful of the supply and point of control. But for now, until this happens, we should be prepared for this. Pluff, you're looking to short ENA or Ondo after Bitcoin hits the supply. Nice, Ondo's a good one. ENA, I'm not 100% sure on how much it follows Bitcoin. I don't trade it. But Ondo, yeah, likes to follow Bitcoin really tightly. So I 100% agree with that one, man. And Ondo doesn't have very many barriers along the way down either. Not until the VWAP. And the VWAP has a demand zone here. Yeah, Ondo will be a good one. And when it confirms, we'll pull from the impulse move up. You can see, like right now, if this were the top, or even if 50 cents was the top, we'd have golden pocket confluence with that demand zone too. For a bounce, for a long, or to target for a short. We're starting to get a pullback, which is nice. We need 2 candles though. The sell side looks like it's going to get swept on Ondo. Yeah. Yeah, I hope it gets taken. And sweep the liquidity right from above this wick, from above these highs. Come down to at least these previous highs. If we break past that, then we target here. The longer we range in the supply, though, the more likely we are going to have that continuation. All right, guys, I got to head out. We still have a Black Friday deal going on right now. 50% off for life on any of the annual or monthly plans. You get access to the courses. You get access to me. You can reach out to me whenever you like. We have calls every single day of the week where you guys can attend and ask any questions. master your trading. But yeah, so yeah, I gotta head out. I'll be jumping in. It looks like there's some people already there. I'll be jumping into the live trading channel where I'll be doing TA on the alts and basically just updating all of my charts to keep them current, because we had lots of moves lately and some of my charts are out of date. All right, guys, yeah, reach out to me if you need any help with anything. I'll be live again on Wednesday at 11 a.m. And now I'm going to prepare that video so you guys can learn a lot about the 11x indicators before making a decision on it. And yeah, so you see if you can save yourself some money, or spend some money if you decide you want to go with it. All right, guys, you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next live.